Happy Easter. It's close to Sunday night. Going to cut a video, talk about a few things. Later in this video, I'm going to get into what the hurricane season is going to look like, which, if you like hurricanes and interested in the science, very interesting, what we're probably going to see this year in terms of hurricane activity. And then also, I want to talk about the weather for the week ahead. We've got some light rain move through the area tomorrow night, and then looks like now, if you follow the blog, my last post, I talked about the possibility of a coastal storm late next week. That idea is back in play. Not to say it's going to snow. Most likely it'll be a cold rain, but I'll take you through that as well. So let's start off with that. Here's the storm. It's actually going to develop here in the Gulf. This is on Thursday. And basically, by Friday night, Friday afternoon into Friday night, the storm's actually going to come up the coast. And right now, it's the track's been shifting more inland from where it's been. So the European model is a little more offshore. The GFS model is a little bit more onshore. You can see it brings the low up like this. We do have a high pressure area to the north, which normally would supply cold air, but the problem with this system really is going to be the northern and southern jet stream here don't really want to phase. You can see here's the big impulse of energy coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. Here is the other piece that's up in Canada. If this slows down a little bit and wants to dive down and merge, then we have a classic nor'easter on Friday, and then I think more snow could be in play for interior sections of the Northeast. We're still 5 days away, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. But right now, these two systems stay separate, and we're looking at more of a situation like this where it does blow up a storm, but it's really more off the coast, and it really phases as when it gets more out here as opposed to down here. So that will give Maine a pretty decent snowstorm. But I'm going to watch our area closely. I think this will end up shifting a little bit more inland as the next few days go on. That I'm pretty confident in, but I just don't know with the two pieces of energy, like I showed you before, if this northern branch will be slow enough to catch the big system in the Gulf that's coming up. So I'll keep an eye on it for you. Right now, expect definitely cloudy conditions on Friday, probably some light rain, low probability of some snow. The tail scenario here would be a snowstorm, but remember it's April now, or it's going to be April, and that's it's very hard to get a storm this kind of time of year, but it's in play. The pattern's there. The good news is after this week, temperatures are really going to snap into spring. You're going to see 60s and possibly even 70s after this next coming weekend. So keep that in mind. I'll do a post on that this week. But right now, let's get to the hurricane forecast. Very, very interesting. And I'm not much of an expert on hurricanes. Not that I'm an expert in anything, because it's more of a hobby for me. But I've studied winter weather very closely. I have a pretty good confidence in the science of it when it comes to predicting winter weather events. Hurricanes, I know the general idea of what would cause an active hurricane season, but I'm going to share with you some third-party information of some private sector meteorologists that I follow and really what we're looking at for the hurricane season. And I'll break down what the predictions are. This is off of the weatherbell.com site. Meteorologist Joe Bastardi puts this out. He's been very, very accurate with his hurricane forecasts over the last 10 years. He's expecting really a very active hurricane season, particularly in the eastern Gulf and the East Coast. We're going into a period here that's going to be like the 1950s, and you're probably going to hear a lot of cries about global warming. That's the reason why these hurricanes are happening, but you got to really go back and look at the science and look at what the atmosphere has done before. And right here on this chart, you could see the 1950s New York, New England tropical storms, hurricanes per decade. You're up to about 7. We had 7 landfalling East Coast hurricanes in 1950s. And right now, if you look at what the ocean temperatures look like, we're going into a period that is like the 1950s. And Hurricane Sandy last year was an example of that. So we're looking at a lot of factors, and we're really going to be looking at the 1950s similarities to the next 2 hurricane seasons. And take a look at this. These are all the landfalling hurricanes and tropical storms in the 1950s. I mean, there's more than 2 hands, more than a handful worth of storms here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 hurricanes, tropical storms, all that crash into the East Coast. And the real potential scenario here would be a hurricane that, unlike Irene, which came up like this, unlike Sandy, which came in like this, a hurricane just develops here in the Caribbean and just takes a beeline right for one of these coastal areas. That would be devastating. Hurricane Sandy, believe it or not, was not the worst case scenario. And nature is fully capable of really wreaking destruction in a pattern like this. And I don't want to. I hope none of that happens. But when you have ocean temperatures like this, where you have the Caribbean very warm, The Atlantic, especially near the Jersey coast, very warm, and then up in the Greenland area, really warm. This is called an Atlantic tripole, and that really creates a lot of convection down in the Caribbean. And if you combine the warm surface temperatures with very warm temperatures aloft, which is what we're projected to have, you have basically heat that's able to build on itself and really convect and produce moisture, a lot of clouds and precipitation, which really creates these hurricanes. And they're gonna want to follow the warm water, so they're gonna want to take tracks that are going to be in this area. And it's gonna be a very interesting season to watch. Here's the actual current surface temperatures of the ocean, so you can see. We have warm water right now, and this is March. We have the warm water here. We have the cold water in the Pacific, which is actually called a negative PDO. If you look back here in the 1950s, look how negative the PDO was. So there's a lot of similarities there. That's the Pacific Decada oscillation. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see if these waves that are coming off of Western Africa really want to develop and produce tropical storms. And I find no reason to believe that the weather belt forecast here is off by much at all. ACE, by the way, stands for accumulated cyclone energy. So that's basically it's a measure of how much energy in the tropics there really is. So when you have years of high ACEs, that means there's a lot of activity. So I'll keep an eye on it for you. But right now, I would say for hurricane outlook this year, watch out. Somebody in this area is probably going to see a destructive storm, and that's nothing to get excited about. But the pattern's there, and it's going to be there probably through 2016. So get ready. Real quick, here's the temperatures for this week before we hit the storm. You can see highs will start off 50, 55, maybe get close to 60. They're going to drop and get pretty cold this week, probably 40, 45 degrees. That storm, if it develops, temperatures will be in the 30s. But so this is our last week of real winter-like temperatures in the 40s and low 50s. And then, like I said, that snap is coming, and all eyes will be on, if this trough wants to dig on Friday. But enjoy the week. I'll include some more information on that Friday situation probably tomorrow and the rest of the week to keep you updated. But in summary, very active hurricane season on the way. East Coast hurricanes probably pretty likely, and that's due to the fact of the ocean temperatures and patterns similar to the 1950s. So thanks for checking in, and we'll have more later, like I said.